Afternoon, everyone. Today I get to have a conversation with Georgia, and I'm super thrilled for that. I have got to know her a little bit more through a life coaching course and just hearing her heart of for women and helping people in relationships. I'm like, wow, I know people already know this, but she's a wealth of wisdom when it comes to relationships. I have learned so much from different courses and things I'm learning from her. And also, I had several women, actually one at least, come to me and say that the highlight of their retreat last year was getting to meet Georgia and that they won something apparently where they got to be in your group for the year and how it really impacted and changed their lives. So I thought that was really cool. So a lot of people really enjoy meeting you at the retreat and learn a lot from you. And I'm excited that you get to be here today. So Georgia, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Georgia Shaffer, a professional certified coach with the International Coach Federation. I'm a licensed psychologist in Pennsylvania, and I have a membership group online, a coaching group called Rebuild After Divorce.
I love it. And so today we'll be talking about your topic of conversations for our 2025 Women's Retreat. And so I'm looking forward to this because I don't know that we've really had this session before in my 5 years of Call to Peace at a retreat. And it's about healthy dating. I don't remember anybody having it before. So this is exciting that it's there. And I think this is a really important conversation because it's a really hard world to navigate that after you've been through abuse. It's just in today's world anyway, it's just hard. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this from you. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what you'll be talking about at the retreat?
Well, just like you said about navigating the world, uh, we d- I didn't know, what does a healthy Christian single woman look like in today's hookup culture. I
Yes.
had no idea what the skills. I mean, we didn't learn anything growing up that we needed certain skills to understand how to make wise choices. And so, yes, what we're going to talk about is the things we can learn, the skills that'll help us be healthy Christian single women in today's culture.
Wow, that's awesome. So, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe could you give me or tell me what are some things that you think would be like highlights in that course? Like, what's something that you feel like maybe a lot of women haven't thought about before when they're navigating dating?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of them is we don't think enough about growing in self awareness. Who is the person we're bringing into a relationship? What are our strengths? What are our relational blind spots? And that takes time. Many times I give like personality assessments to my clients, but it's being awareness. Who did God create me to be? And having that God confidence in that. So that's one of the big things. Another one is, what is your emotional trash that you might still be carrying? We all bring baggage into a relationship, but we don't want to bring a U-Haul or a tractor trailer of it. So what do we still need to process? Maybe there's some things we haven't grieved.
Mm.
Some losses, some shattered dreams. We haven't totally got to a point of acceptance. So we have to get to the point where that we make sure we wrestled and grieved over what no longer can be. And then when we do want to make wise choices, how do we go about that? Well, we want to listen to our heart. We don't make decisions based on our feelings, but there's three H's. Our heart, listen to your heart. What's it telling you? Head, what are the logical things? Think through it. What are the facts? Seek the counsel of others. And then, most importantly, as a Christian, the Holy Spirit. That's the third H. What are we inquiring of the Lord? Are we seeking the guidance of the Holy Spirit? So, to make a wise choice, we want to look at our heart, our head, and the Holy Spirit.
Mm, I'm excited about that. That I really like what you're sharing here too, and I love how you made that about introspective with ourselves first, because I really think that unless we've dealt with the, I would say, baggage or however you want to call it, the trauma that we've dealt with, it's really hard to navigate dating. And I don't think you're really going to be attracted to a healthy man, nor will a healthy man be attracted to you if you haven't first dealt with your own trauma. Grief, I feel like, gets very much in the way of dating because if somebody still has grief, they're going to be looking for a partner to fix that grief, whether they realize it or not. And so I think those are things are really key. And then when you've dealt with them yourself, it's a lot easier to have those expectations for somebody else too. Because if you're still in the muck of grief, it's going to be really hard to be like to somebody else, well, you need to be out the muck of grief. So it's going to be two people that are looking to heal each other. And that's just not a healthy relationship. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about that?
Well, no, just what you said, healthy attracts healthy. It's not 100% guarantee,
No.
but healthy tends to attract healthy. And it's so interesting. We think we've done our work, we know who God created us to be, but you get in that relationship and the insecurities, the vulnerabilities, the self-doubts. So I tell women to expect that, and we'll talk about how do you handle that. uh, we're human and we got to accept our flaws. But if we're living purposely, meaningful, serving others, as well as not getting caught in that romantic feeling, that's so important that we're making wise choices. And, the three C's are you want somebody of character, and that's like the fruits of the Holy Spirit. You want somebody, not necessarily chemistry, that's good. I'm not saying that. But you want a Christian, not one that just necessarily goes to church on Sunday. But Jonathan Hoover says, you want a Christian that God can yank by the back of their collar. And then the third thing is capacity. Does this person really have the capacity to share life? Because I've dated one person, character, uh, definitely a Christian, but he didn't have the capacity to share his life.
That's a really good perspective. I like that. Do they have capacity? And what is that capacity? It's just, yeah. And I think, too, something I have learned the more healthier you are and connected to yourself, the more you're able to hear the red flags as well. Your body is able to sense something's off or this doesn't feel right because you're so used to living in peace. You're so used to hearing the Holy Spirit and not the voice of the abuser in your head saying, you're not enough, you're overlooking things, or you're this. And when those voices are cleared out of your head, you're able to discern people and who they are fairly quickly. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't take a few months sometimes, because sometimes people are just very good and it's hard to
Oh,
figure it out, but you
yes,
can discern it a lot quicker before it moves into progression.
yes,
So, yes.
yes. And I'll be going over some of the 12 smart choices
Cool.
for healthy dating relationships.
Well, this sounds like an excellent session. I'm excited for this. That sounds excellent. So, and then you're not only doing one session, you're doing two sessions. So I'm really excited because you're doing another one about moving from fear to faith. And so let's talk a little bit more about that one because it's a lot more detailed than what the title sounds like.
Oh, yeah, it really is. Um, well, fear is such an overwhelming emotion. And I don't know about you, but when I grew up in the church, the message I kept hearing, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. It's sinful. Um, and yet, yes, the answer is to trust in God. But fear's an emotion. It's a frightening, scary emotion. So, in the workshop, Fear to Faith, we're going to cover 5 things we need to understand about this scary, big feeling, this powerful emotion, practical ways to minimize it, and then biblical ways to handle it.
Okay, well, I'm excited for this 'cause I'm like, man, I need to know more about this. Can you kind of give me a little bit more of an overview of maybe some like practical ways that we will be talking about overcoming this? Because I'm like, yes, we've been told so much. Do not fear. God says, do not fear. If you fear, you're anxiety driven. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know that, but how do I stop? Like, it's just hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me share a couple of things you got to, it's important to understand. Of course, not all fear is bad. It's good
Yep.
that I'm afraid of a poisonous snake. It's natural, it's a human emotion. David in Psalm 56 said, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. He didn't say if I'm afraid, when I'm afraid. And so he was being very intentional. Here's what I'm going to do when I'm afraid. But here's an interesting thing that I did not understand for years and years. Fear is such a powerful, overwhelming emotion. It makes us feel so helpless, so small, so vulnerable that many times, in order to avoid it, we'll worry. We'll focus on anxiety in our attempts to avoid the big, painful emotion called fear, and we'll hide it. It'll lurk in the darkness of our hearts and minds. And we got to understand when fear is controlling us and when it is protecting us. So that's very important. And then, like you said, okay, sometimes I know what I need to do. I need to focus on God, not my scary situation. I want to experience that peace that Jesus talks about. But sometimes I'm paralyzed, I shut down, or my mind races. I can't think straight. My heart's pounding, or I'm flooded with feelings of panic. So, what do you do then? And that's one of the things we're going to cover.
Ooh, I'm excited for that. And I just love that what you're sharing there. Like sometimes it's just like you were mentioning, I'm so sorry, my brain just froze on me a moment. I was in the middle of a thought and I was like, wait a minute, what am I saying? I'm so sorry. But yes,
No.
I just love what you were sharing there. That second point that you made about how that we can know to do the right thing, but it's really, really difficult in that moment. And so I'm excited to get some of the practical tools that you'll be sharing with us there. So that's really good because there is tools that we can use to be able to overcome fear in that moment. And I think it is breaking it down so it's moment by moment versus looking at the whole big picture. And I'm sure you'll probably talk a little bit more about that with like the practicality of things.
Well, just as you're talking, Lauren, I should have titled it Tools to Move from Fear to Faith.
Hmm. Oh, well, you can add that in now if you want to. So
Okay.
we
So
can add
it's
that.
going to
We'll
be
change that.
tools, practical things to help understanding, tools to move from fear to faith.
Oh, I like that. Well, that's awesome. People get to come and get some practical tools and be able to go home and apply it in their lives and be able maybe to apply that in their dating relationships too. As they're like, well,
Oh,
is this fear
absolutely.
trauma or is this fear because this guy really is not good? So I love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, the other thing, getting back to dating, we don't always understand the pain of a healthy relationship and the pain in not unhealthy. They both can be painful in some kinds of ways, but the pain of a healthy is that iron sharpening iron, whereas the pain of the unhealthy is trying to destroy who God created you to be.
That is very powerful. I really, really like what you just said. The healthy sharpens you and makes you better, and unhealthy destroys the person that you're created to be by God. And that's a very key difference. Like I think sometimes looking at those things and evaluating those in all relationships, not just dating, is this person sharpening me to be a better person, or is this person destroying me in who God created me to be? So
Yeah.
that's really good. So sometimes you need a counselor or a coach to kind of walk alongside you though to figure that out. So maybe some people are watching this today and like, how do I contact Georgia Shaffer? I want to talk to her further. If someone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you? And I'll enter that here in the chat as well.
My website is georgiashaffer.com. If they're interested in something like rebuilding after separation or divorce, that's georgiashaffer.com/rebuild membership. And I have some free resources too. In fact, on my website, if you go to the freebies, I have a little question quiz. How do you know if you're dating someone who's unhealthy? Some
Ooh.
questions to answer yourself. My first book I wrote years ago was How Not to Date a Loser. And but a lot of Christians were offended because we're all created in God's image. But on the other hand, people knew what we were referring to.
Yes. Well, maybe they're not really Christians if they're probably abusers and losers. They just profess it. So
Yeah.
we can compartmentalize it that way too. But I like that. So you're definitely an expert to be talking on this topic, y'all. So come in if you're thinking about jumping back in the dating world, or you're like navigating and you're like, "Whoo, this is hard." Definitely attend Georgia Shaffer's session. I think you'll learn a lot from it. She's a wealth of wisdom, and also what we're going to call it. You said tools for moving from fear to faith. So
Yes.
all of that sounds excellent. So I cannot wait. This is coming up so soon. We've actually extended our registration deadline. It was April 7th. It is now April 14th. So
Okay.
y'all, that's not much longer. It's less than a month to register. So go ahead and secure your spot. It's May 1st through 4th in Lake Junaluska, and we would be delighted to have you there. And then also, we're in a campaign right now. So our goal is to raise $65,000 to be able to scholarship 100 women to our He Makes All Things New Women's Retreat. And right now, we have raised $30,500. So we are excited and for all the generosity of people. And if you've not had the opportunity to partner with us yet and are able to, please prayerfully consider how you can send a woman to retreat to hear somebody like Georgia and connect, and be able to learn and grow, because she needs those opportunities. Just think of not only how you impact her, but how you probably also impact, well, I know it's not also, but you will impact her children's lives too, because we believe as a mother gets healthy and whole, her children prosper and become healthy too. So it's an investment that is multi-generational, to send a
Mhm.
retreat. So yeah, just prayerfully consider that. And I'm so excited to see you in May, Georgia. Is there anything else you want to say as we close out today?
No, I'll have a book table, so come over and at least say hi. But yes, I just want to say it is frightening. Just dealing with unhealthy relationships, abusive relationships, that is frightening. But also, at some point, even the thought after we're divorced of putting ourselves out there can be frightening. So we have to be intentional to focus on God, His protection, His provision for us. And that's not always easy, as we were referring to.
Yes. Well, that is excellent. Well, I can't wait, y'all. So thank you, everybody who's joined us. Georgia's on Facebook as well. So if you come back and watch later, you can comment and she can answer your questions. And please check out her website. Like she said, she has lots of freebies there that you would really like that are relevant to today's conversation. So thank you again, Georgia, for your time and for being here. It was a delight to have you. And we'll see you in May.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. Y'all have a good day. We'll see y'all later.